It's the Voiceover Gurus podcast.
I'm Gary Lyons, and this is my voiceover journey.
Awesome. All right. Welcome back. This is the Voiceover Gurus podcast. I'm Linda Bruno, and really excited again today because I have got someone who reached out via email, a very nice email that you sent me, but also has an interesting story of how he got started in the business. And I thought it would be fun if you could share it with everyone. So say hello to Gary Lyons.
Hello, everybody.
So you reached out to me, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned about how you were a listener of the podcast and how I guess it initially kind of helped your journey a bit to, and when I saw in your initial email that you talked about, you know, your path and how you'd grown quite exponentially, I figured it'd be fun to talk about maybe some of your struggles and how you got started and what made you make that choice. So first, let's start about, where do you live now?
I am based out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. Okay. And where are you from? Give me the whole backstory.
So I am from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Come from a musical family. Dad plays every woodwind instrument. So like I went to sleep on the weekends listening to him practice.
Wow.
And we were in every choir imaginable. So like I don't think there was ever a point in my life where I wasn't, up until maybe in recent years where I wasn't getting prepared for some sort of performance or something, it's just kind of how we are.
Your blood.
Yeah. But around 2010, I had a buddy who had moved to Nashville, and he was like, "Hey, Gary, you've been really doing a lot of music stuff. I think you should really try to cut your teeth up here. Nashville's going to be it's city real soon." He was not lying.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people here now.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Man, you should just kind of come up here and see what you can do." I was doing some hip hop music, soul. I was singing. I'm a huge lover of everything real hip hop. I believe it's one of the most American art forms in existence.
Great.
Right. But anyway, I was like, all right, so Nashville's a weird place to try this, but it's better than Baton Rouge. And I was just kind of bored. I was working at the power company and doing some bartending, you know what I mean? So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna pack up everything that I have and move. And everybody that knew me near me, other than like my very best friend, was like, "You are absolutely nuts. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've always been willing to try, and kind of bet on a new experience. So moved up here, started doing this music. Was actually had some real fun, got to do some shows opening up for, some artists that actually exist.
Wow, that's
and like that are actually like people know of.
So you found some success with it then?
A little bit, yeah. I wasn't like, it definitely wasn't like I'm rolling in dough now, you know what I mean? But it was enough for the artist in me to feel satiated, at the time. It was a lot of partying going on. I was 25, 26, and so, in between, like, the making the shows and all of that stuff, I was still bartending, doing all of that. And so went on tour with a band for a while. So experienced that even.
Wow.
Around 2012, my family experienced the loss of my little sister.
No.
That's okay. It took, it's been over 10 years now, so it definitely took a lot of getting over. We're very, very close, but it has a way of kind of, losing somebody close to you has a way of affecting your life one way or another, and the way it affects you is kind of up to you. But at the time, it didn't, I didn't handle it well. No one would handle it well, right?
Sure.
But it definitely affected my confidence and made me question, why did I move? My family's home. I will, that kind of guilt,
Sure.
all of that stuff. And
Because you were in
probably
Nashville on your own.
I moved completely on my own. Like
Yes.
my friend who asked me to move, we were roommates,
So
but
it was just the two of you that as
right.
as far as a support system, with you.
Well, about a year after I moved to Nashville, I met my now wife. So thankfully, we she was right next to me when I got the news about my sister. So that definitely was like a huge help in making me not go the wrong way, yeah, that happened. And about a year later after that, I started dealing with like a major back injury that I had to like have surgery for.
Oh wow.
So like confidence is gone. I'm like,
yeah.
I've moved up here. All of this bad stuff is happening. All of these are omens, I should be home. I should be trying to do something else, And so for a while, I just leaned into bartending. I'm really love doing that. Love putting flavors together. I'm like one of those craft guys who does all the flavors from scratch and all of that stuff. Really love it. My wife and I actually started a bartending business for a little bit, and that was like another reinvention, just doing like private parties and doing like craft cocktails for people's like weddings and private events. So did that for a while. And by the way, like shout out, a lot of people don't understand, or I think bartending is a very underrated profession as far as like it's those folks who you see who are working in like these tourist driven cities or bigger cities. Those bartenders are making six figures, a lot of them, and if they're smart enough, they figure out what to do with that money. But at the end of the day, it's really hard on your body.
Sure.
But all the while I'm doing it, every other person, and I'm sorry.
No, on your feet all day. I mean, all night, the hours are crazy depending on what shifts you're working. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Walking through the middle of downtown Nashville with hundreds of dollars in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nashville's insane now. My God. It's like everybody wants to be there too. It's like entertainment capital.
Yeah. It just ballooned. And I will say that, people fuss about it. And, especially folks who've been here. My wife, she says it all the time. She's from here. She was like, there's a new skyscraper on this corner that wasn't here 5 years ago. And now I don't know where I am when I'm driving around because I base everything off of landmarks. I'm like, I don't even know the neighborhoods anymore. They're just packing people in here. But if you believe in yourself, in doing anything, any sort of business, I feel like this is one of the cities to come and try it.
That's great.
I really do believe that.
You think it's because of the energy of the city?
That, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think, people, when I first moved here in 2010, there was a huge tornado, a flood. There was a flood in 2010, and it wiped out a lot of stuff. It wiped out like the whole Opry Mills Mall area, and all of this. And the main thing that people talked about, and mind you, I'm from Louisiana, so I know floods.
Right.
But the main thing I heard people talking about when I got here was like the neighborhood came together. Like this is a spread out city, but like it's a neighborhood feel. Like people just got out with chainsaws and shovels and whatever they needed to help each other out. So I think that is still ultimately the feel of this city.
Nice.
I feel like when when I mention it to someone now, hey, I'm in voiceover. Oh man, let me see something you did. Oh my God, it's never like this guy. You know what I mean?
So there's a lot of support. You're saying community support.
Nashville's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you think that was characteristic in getting you going to really pursue the dream here?
I think so. I think like when all the while I was bartending and like doing all these competitions and like winning a lot of competitions, with the company that I work with. And um, you know, I every week there's somebody like, that voice, what are you doing? What are you doing with it? Are you on? I'm like, not much, other than because I mean, by then, I wasn't even singing anymore, mm-hmm. Around the house and stuff, and so I really was like, I need to make a change, especially after like pandemic and like sitting at home and all of that stuff, that affected everybody in certain ways. But I decided, I really wanted to make the change toward doing something with my voice. And so I was like, I made the decision. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how far I can take it.
At that point, were you still bartending?
Still bartending. I'm still bartending right now.
Okay, yeah. So you're still keeping your foot, in both sides there, so that you keep the income coming in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How are you finding that balance?
It works because the place that I work, it night hours. Okay. So I mean, it's burning a candle at both ends a lot of times. I was going to say, sure.
All day you're doing your voiceover marketing, you're doing your auditioning and all that, and then you're going to work. So when are you sleeping?
I have a 3-month-old, so not much. It's so worth it to me right now.
Yeah.
I love doing this so doggone much. And when I did decide to do it, I started listening to you. I started following people online who I saw that were doing it and that were passionate about it. I started listening to Mark Scott Creative, Tim Heller Creative, Mark Scott Viopreneur is his name. Mm-hmm. Hands out like a lot of positive, great information about trying it, real information.
Right.
It's not glamorous. This isn't, jump into this and start rolling in dough. Yeah. Every audition for me is another opportunity to perform, and that keeps me going.
That's a great attitude towards it.
Yeah. I mean, you already know. I mean, at my level, I'm hearing no, 90% of the time, but man, that 10%,
when you get that.
Right.
Yeah. That's what drives you to keep going.
Right.
So now did you start right during the pandemic? I know a lot of people did jump in at that point, or.
So interestingly enough, but I started doing this, but introspectively, I was like, I need to make some changes within myself. This was kind of happening at the same time. I decided to do a little therapy. I feel like folks don't talk about that enough, especially in my community. It's kind of like shunned. I went to therapy. It was great.
Good for you.
But I think when somebody does this, not every person is for everybody. It's just like any other relationship. You're not going to click with everybody. Luckily, I found someone who I clicked with. We had similar types of ideas about things, and so his whole thing was, where do you want to be? How do we work on the in between?
Very nice.
I knew I wanted to be, better in the aspects of my life, my marriage, with my family, with my friends. But at the very, very theme of it was I want to end up making some money off of voiceover, even if in the next couple of years, it's a couple $100 a month, that would make me happy. I was just thinking about it at the time, just supplementing me, what I mean? And so
that's a great goal though, to start. You got to start, you can't be like, I'm going to book a job, make $1 million next week. It's like, no, it's got to be You got to be happy with the small wins because those small wins can lead to large wins.
I have such a respect for anyone in the arts, and I like understand. I understand that how my ignorance for anyone else's part of it, right? Like I have such huge respect for stand-up comedians because they're like on the fly, you control the pace of that. Me, I can rehearse a song 100 times and probably kill it, as long as everything is going all right with my voice. But a comedian, you don't know what's going to happen in that room.
Right.
So like, same thing with voiceover. I was like, man, I know I have a decent voice, but I don't know how to do that. I mean, I don't know the first thing, and what's funny is now that I have been doing it, and I have been landing jobs, you'll get like certain family members or certain friends close to you. And I know, what I'm talking about, that are like, oh, so you just got that money talking into a microphone?
Yes.
Oh, I could do that.
Do that.
Like, oh, go do it. Please go do it.
I know.
Or either
it's so easy.
Right. Or either you did that. Tell me how.
Right. I know. I want to do the same thing. I know. Yep.
I'm like, do you have a couple hours or some money?
But you know what? You could take that as a sign of your success. Because if someone is admiring what you're doing, and even though they may be ill-informed and don't realize that how difficult it is, the fact that they're admiring what you're doing, you're causing someone to, maybe stir some passion in someone else.
Right.
And that's very complimentary. But, we all know everybody can say, I'm going to go do this. But boy, it's such a long journey to get from A to Z is a million different directions. But that tenacity and that persistence,
that's right.
It's going to take you all the way.
Yeah. And, I mean, and you can feel it off of someone when they're being genuine with you and like they really take some sort of interest in what you're doing and what you talk about versus like, the backhanded condescension, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You feel it.
Like say what you want, but my check's cash. And
that's it. I'm not asking you for anything.
Right. The money is green, but they're paying me. So
that's right. And I'm having fun. I'm having so much fun.
Did you wind up getting voiceover training?
Not really.
Really? Okay. But I mean, I know your background, you're already musical background, and musicians and singers usually have a hair of a slightly easier time because of the musicality of voiceover. Mm-hmm. But, maybe you just had the performer in you. Some people naturally just gravitate and they're ready to go.
Well, also, my wife was a theater major.
So you have a few things in your back pocket. Gotcha. Okay, so that makes sense then. Okay.
Right. She'll be like, one of my main issues here is that being from Louisiana, when I get real, comfortable, I start talking too fast and start talking. So she, slow down from the other room, or I just practice my reads on her. I try. I listen to you. One of the things you said, one of the exercises you say that you do, Linda, or that you have done is saying, yes, I can hear you as many different ways as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is so small and so huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just little stuff like that. Like, I don't, I'd say this to anybody starting out in this, like, I have worked for, Body Armor Sports Drink, Arizona Tea. I've done Microsoft, Rémy Martin. I have a campaign out with those guys. And like, I am not, this, boss voice actor. I doubt hardly anybody in Nashville even knows who I am. I've not really been over the voiceover studios. I've been just kind of willing it out of my house.
Hey, the most successful people usually are.
Yeah.
So now, have you gone about this pay to plays, or is this your own resources, your own marketing?
Mainly, it was pay to play at first, because I thought that was the. That being said, I thought of pay to play as more as an investment. Mm-hmm. So, I got, indirectly, my first job was doing like, an internal thing with body armor. And um, the way that I was found was somebody wanted to read that sounded like a rapper talking about something else. So not like necessarily rapping, but I was like, all right, that's in my wheelhouse. And sent that off to him and heard nothing. And another thing I learned from you guys, like there's a certain detachment. Like, I love this script. I want to do great. But then once it's sent, I got to forget about it.
Yeah.
It's just how you have to operate, otherwise you just get your heart broken every day,
You can't do anything else about it, but do
Right.
your best performance, what you feel that but it's, that's why also your past experiences, can help you with other jobs you've had. It could be a job that you might think is not the greatest job or whatever, is mundane, and yet it might be called for, or some element of it in an audition, and that's what's going to make you different.
Right.
That's what's going to stand, make you stand out. So I could see that, you were able to bring that to that audition.
Yeah. So, but that audition was on one of the pay-to-play sites. I heard nothing, forgot about it, moved on about my life. A week later, I got an email from the person who from the people who put the job up on the site, but it was a separate company out in LA. And they were like, hey, you auditioned for this, we liked it, but could you try this?
Awesome.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing that could happen. I've learned so much of this on the fly, Linda, like, Source Connect. So my first job, that same job, I get the job, I get, to talk to the producer. He's like, this guy who sounds like he's sitting in his chair with hair hanging out of his chest, and he's got a cigar, and he's like, come on, baby. Like, and he's like, Gary, it's a piece of cake. You download it, you get the free version, which is a bad idea. Go ahead and pay for it. If you have a business, just pay for it, right? And he's like, you get the free version and you just, download it. It's gonna be great, baby. And so I download this thing, and they're like, all right, we're gonna have a sound check, which a lot of jobs do. They'll have like the engineer check in with you, and like I've recorded music a lot, but having an engineer and on the other side of the country, I felt like a caveman. I was like, what?
I know. It's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was weird. Luckily he was really, really nice. And he was like, hey, affect your game this way. Why don't you step back here? Why don't you stand, and like some of the settings that he helped me with, I'm still using. Right.
Right.
And that was in October of last year, but landed this job and go to get into to do my sound levels with Source Connect, and can't get in, and I'm freaking out. These people are gonna fight. This is body armor sports drink. I was like gonna pass out.
Session time and you can't log in. Oh,
right.
Gosh,
right.
Course, right.
And so like the producer calls me like, Gary, it's easy, baby. Like, believe it or not, like calms me down. We get into the session, and then, like you guys have explained a million times, there's like, hey, Gary, now that we're ready, here's 8 other people.
Yeah. I know. And you're like, what?
Yeah. And like half of them are complimentary, 2 of them are like very, and then a couple of them don't care, just in a rush. You can tell they're like staring at something else. And but what an experience, what a first experience, experience for a first job.
That's crazy. That's a lot to be thrown at. They threw a lot at you.
3 pages of script
for the first, with 8 people listening, and a Source connection that you were having difficulty with.
A sizzle reel. This year, next wheel is gonna be. I'm like,
How long did the session last for?
That one was about almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
it wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't feel that long. But it was just a lot of script. It was a lot of like yelling. Like, we literally had to take a little break. Like, and all of them felt it. Because it's just top. Yeah. But it could be that, or it could be someone trying to record you over the phone. Or you just never know what you're gonna get, and that is so exciting to me.
Right.
So yeah, I am very much, as fortunate as I've been with this, I am very much a baby. you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
Um,
But
yeah.
you're learning, like you said, it's some of it's trial by fire,
Mhm.
and you just have to go for it. And
Yeah.
you're going to make mistakes, but people are usually pretty cool. And I'm a big fan though of testing everything out in my system and doing a connection before the session starts, just so I can make sure that I'm getting, everything is nice and clear cut. So when we do
Mhm.
connect, it's easy. But yeah, there's nothing worse than like 8 people on the line. Oh, I hate that still to this day.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
nerve-wracking.
We like it, but could you say "and" with an upward inflection? Oh, I liked it the way it was. I don't know. Yeah. Um, so
Yeah.
that I just try to be as, you know, I've been a bartender for so long because I like dealing with people, all sorts of
Mm.
people. Um, I had um strangely enough, a comedian, my bar that I work at is down the street from a comedy club. So I'll get people going to shows. Every now and then I'll get like a comedian.
That's cool.
And he wasn't like a super huge name, but I remember him saying something to me that was super cool. He was like, every town that I go to, he said, I like to talk to bartenders and I like to talk to barbers. He said, you guys touch every walk of life. He
Hmm.
said, from the richest to the poorest, you guys deal with them,
Yeah, that's true.
um, and so when I go into these sessions, I try to, even if somebody's a bit abrasive, I try to be, as opposite of that as possible.
Hmm.
And, most times I can soften the room up just because with the bartending stuff,
Yeah.
um, like the person just came in, they sat down, they're in a bad mood. I don't know what happened before they walked through that door, and that's
Yeah.
kind of my attitude. I'm like, I don't know what happened before they got on this call. We're in this call now, even if they're being mean,
Yeah.
and most times people are cool when they show, that you care about what you're doing and that you prepared. And that's one thing
Mhm.
I will do is if I don't know, I will Google and I will look it up and I will listen
Smart.
and I will everything I can do to prepare, for these things, so that
I
really
I
helps.
have tons of respect for bartenders. I used to have a lot of bartender friends because I used to do a lot of happy hours and a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
before I got married. But and at home, I'm literally the bartender, and at
Mhm.
my parties, I am the bartender. But I have
Mhm.
such respect for. I mean, not to get off the voiceover track, but that's my other little passion. So
Yeah.
I mean, I love and I just love the art of it and the flavors and what can be mixed and what it fascinates me. If I wasn't going to do voiceover, I'd probably become a bartender.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. I yeah, and what's weird about me is like, I 325 days since I've had a drink,
Wow.
but I still like making them. I still like
That's great.
entertaining. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? I just, I don't know. I wanted this so bad, man. I just wanted to try something new. My son was on the way. Um, so like, you don't know.
So what was your moment that you said, okay, I can do this? Was it the body armor?
I don't know that I said that yet. Uh, no, no, no.
When it hits you and you go, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I
Y-
can make a living at this.
no, I did, and like I think it was that, and I stepped into this before I even went for that job. I started an LLC. I am Lyons Roar Voice Talent. My name is Gary Lyons. Lyons Roar Voice Talent. I got serious about my website. It's not the most glamorous website, but it is a website that is very, there's one page.
Good,
You can find
good.
everything you need. You can hear me. You can see the videos. I made sure that I was accessible as possible. I made sure that it was as easy to pay me as possible.
Yep.
And just kind of had all these ducks in a row, the ones that I at least knew to have, knew to
Hmm.
have a decent microphone, knew to have a decent, DAW and all of this stuff. Cause like, even though I didn't expect, a session as big as, these sessions that I've had, I was like, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm scrambling for stuff, you
Hmm.
know.
Maybe
So
deep down though you did expect it, and that's why you did the prep work.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
They say what, if you build it, they will come. So it's like you have to lay the groundwork. You have to be serious, get that business together, get that website, make it, like you said, as easy as possible for people to pay you. You make that pathway smooth.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're opening yourself up to say, I'm ready. I'm
Right.
ready to get these jobs. I'm ready to get these auditions, and I'm ready to go for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So but yeah, I think when I got those jobs and I started to see January, I had the biggest month of any month I've ever had doing anything in my life. And I was like,
that's fantastic.
oh, so that's when it was. That's when it was.
Okay, it was January of 2023.
Yes, of this year.
Very nice.
There's dry spells. It's not, and that's important for people to know, is, know what to do when it is good.
Right.
you know, because it may not always be good every day or every month, and you got to keep that energy up. And that's a lot of times when I listen to you guys is when I do feel like my energy waning, when I'm like, all right, is this the thing? I've tried a few different things, and my wife, she says, she's like, dude, like, of the stuff that you've tried, and you get passionate about a lot of stuff, this is the thing that you touch damn near every day. Like,
you're gonna have down periods. It's just how it is. Yeah. And anybody that tells you it isn't happening for them is lying.
Yeah.
I don't care what people think, but it's just the truth. And that's why we like to talk about that. And the fact is that you can be successful for X amount of years. Put the money away, invest, do everything you possibly can, help your family, do the things that mean something to you. That way you're going to be okay if and when it does happen that everybody's not in love with your voice.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't keep your business going. It's just you're going to get these highs and these lows. Enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah.
And try not to get down if it's not happening for you for a while.
Right. I just with the first month, like, it kind of timed out, and of course you're doing less auditions when you have an infant in your house, and it gave me so much time because I had decided to take a month off of bartending anyway. So when he got here, I already had that month off of going into there, and just had time to be here and just did like, one or two auditions, a few auditions a week, just that I felt nice about. But he was the focus, and it was nice because I did have, a little bit of, voiceover cushion, left, and all of that stuff. And, I think, being a bartender really helped me to drive that point home with freelance is, how to manage that, how to hold on to that huge check that you just got,
Right. You've still got as well that backup income. You also have the support of your wife.
Oh, yeah.
These are essential elements. And then the day will come, you keep at it, that you no longer need the backup income.
Yeah, and that's kind of, the goal for me. While I can't, say the name of the job, I got like my first job that actually is residual income. So like that will be cool, if you get a few of those in your pocket. Thank you. Or I'll say weekly income, I'll say.
Yeah. And how does that feel?
Humbling.
Really? I mean, when we're told, hey, I think you're going to be the one for this, like, what was your first emotion?
I cried like a baby, and here's why. I did the audition, which, by the way, let me backtrack a bit. I just want to speak to the importance of like stepping out on your own belief in yourself. Because outside, once I started doing a lot with the pay to play sites and like getting repeat folks from outside of that, I was like, all right, I need to find that's the only way to keep this business viable, is I need to diversify, right? I need to get auditions from everywhere I can get them. So I reached out to a few talent agencies and got sent like my profile. Here's my story. Here's what I've done. Didn't hear anything from anybody for several months. Until one day, one of them emailed me back and was like, "Hey, are you still looking for representation?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yes." Yes, here's and I was like, do you want to have like a Skype call or anything like that? And they're like, "No, we'll just send you some auditions and see what happens." It's I must have done maybe not 3 dozen auditions with these folks before I finally got one for like a pretty big role in a pretty big show. And so tried out for this thing. The audition went well. The folks had me do a video call back where they had me sing into this microphone a cappella to make sure that I was the one for the role. And that's life coming full circle.
There you go. Using your experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I cried like a baby, because it's why I moved up here initially. I was ready, and I still am. If I anybody who knows me, if you drop me in any city anywhere, especially with the bartending stuff, I'll figure out how to be great, make, have a great living, but to finally like feel like I'm being recognized for something that I have so much passion for.
It's the best.
Yeah.
The best.
So yeah, it's not singing, what I imagined I'd be singing. It's nursery rhymes, but
that's okay. That's okay.
I'm so happy to sing them. So happy to sing them.
That's great.
It's just it's a beginning. I feel like it's a new beginning every day, and like you just have to believe. You have to believe in what you want, especially when it comes to doing something in the arts and freelance. You have to be, one of those, 2 to 3 of 10 people that are like, you could do that. You could pull that off.
Truly believe.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most difficult thing that you've encountered so far?
With during voiceover,
or any of this process, what have you found to be the most challenging?
I think just kind of learning on the learning curve, I'll say, because once
of
you
technical or performance, both. Gotcha.
Both. I know a little bit about the technical stuff because I watched the engineers and I was friends with a couple of them when we did the music. But I say this to my wife all the time. I'm like, if this is like Voltron, I pretty much know how to control the head and maybe the left arm. Like, I'm not, I can get it recorded. I can get, punch and roll. I can head and tail it. I can make sure that it sounds all right. I can get it into the right form, and I can email it to you. Much further than that, I just call up one of my engineer friends. Hey man, I need I hop on the old YouTube real quick. And as far as the performance side of it, I know I've even the biggest acting role I did was the voice of Audrey 2 in The Little Shop of Horrors, and I was still a voice behind behind a wall. I'm like looking through a wall, like looking at the person control the plant.
That's great. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I love doing it. But yeah, so I just knowing that the imposter syndrome that comes with that.
Yeah.
Even they like, I'm like, you've landed the job, dude. Like they obviously want you to, they want you back. I'm like, I don't know. They're gonna get me on the call and be like, this dude kind of sucks.
I know. There's always that worry. That worry. I know. No, they picked you. They want to use you. go with it.
Yeah.
So you have now, do you think the majority of your auditioning is through agents, or do you still tap into the pay to plays?
Pay to play is still been the biggest moneymaker for me so far.
That's great. That's great.
It's weird.
Yeah. What's your frequency? Like, how many auditions do you submit on average?
I say weekly, probably about 25 to 30 a week.
Okay.
But I mean, to put that in perspective, when we say burning a candle at both ends, what's really annoying about this for me, I say annoying, is my voice sounds the best when I've just worked a shift.
Oh, really?
Because I've been talking to people all day and hamming it up and, trying to like, and so I get off of work and like my wife, I'm like, hey, babe. And she's like, hey, I'm right here. I'm like, I'm really loud right now. I should go work. And, especially with my little guy here now, few nights now, a few weeks, I'll come home, not the whole week, but say like a couple of nights out of the week, I'll come home. It'll be about 10 p.m. I'll get a little snack, wife will turn in and I'll be like, all right, I'm on baby duty. And I'll just, go grab him if he cries. And when he's asleep, I'm in here doing this. And I'm like, oh, the sun just came up. Should probably go to bed.
You're making it work. You're making it work.
Yeah. And, like most, and it's not like I'm not every night, that's the cool thing about bartenders too, is if you work at a good place, you don't need to work every night.
Right. Good money.
Right.
Yeah.
But that being said, that's the move for me, from that more this, so I can spend more time. I'm, a lot of my friends, I'm 38 years old. I'm not old, but a lot of my friends who are my age have kids that are headed to college.
Oh, wow.
I have a newborn. And so like, I want to be here, I want to be, close to, even though, you can't, have your kid in the studio, this is my multi-purpose area right now. I'll drop some stuff and do some other stuff when it's time to record. But, he's been such a motivator. Just the prospect of, when this could be, this will be, the thing. Is just energizing, dude. I'm just to the moon.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So well, I don't know. I sincerely, I respect you so much. And
appreciate that.
And well, I mean, like, I don't know. And like, I mean, like I know this, you've been doing this, and based on what you've put out there, I don't know how long you've been doing this. And I'm sure there've been like so many transitions between now and like then, and like when I decided to start doing this.
Yes.
A lot of crazy stuff that I see with like the AI.
Yeah.
And like we're trying to, we were letting they're like, they'll this exorbitant amount of money, and they're like, well, all right, we just want to train AI like your voice. And I'm like, what happens to you after that?
I know. I honestly, I still steer clear of anything like that, because as far as I'm concerned, it's the actor and the performance. It's going to make you stand out. And then people are going to want a human connection no matter what, know? So sure, it may enter certain genres and take over certain arenas, but the fact is people want to connect with a human. They just do. And I can't see us not wanting that option. So, the fact that you can sing, you can rap, you have all these other things that you can do, which is why I tell people focus on what makes you unique, what makes you, what makes you special, what makes you, and just make sure you bring you to every performance, to every audition, and the right thing will fit. And there's just so many voiceover jobs out there. I really wish people wouldn't freak out, because just keep auditioning. You're going to work. If you want this bad enough, you're going to work. Stop, getting distracted with AI. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're going to work through it. We'll work through it. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out.
And it's just like, and I think like, I wonder like if, what would happen to Morgan Freeman if he was like just starting out and he like did one of those? Will we know of him now? Or would he just be the voice of some computer? You know what I mean?
He was, he's a fantastic actor, though. That's who Morgan Freeman is. He just happens to be a good narrator as well. But
yeah, you're right. He's
like
a
Jones,
jack of all trades. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lance Reddick, one of my huge influences. Rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's amazing. I'm a huge video gamer. My wife too. We love gaming. That's the goal. Cartoons, games. I've touched one of them.
You sound like you've got the right mentality, the right attitude. You're on the right path.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I hope so. Thank you.
I just wanted to see, get your story, because it's usually motivating for others to hear, what your path is, what you've chosen thus far. And this is where you're at right now in your voiceover career.
This is where I am right now. Yeah.
Thank you for joining me, Gary. It was really a pleasure. What's your website?
lionsroarvoicetalent.com.
Nice. Yes.
Lions,
but it's Lyons.
Lyons. There's this golden lion with a microphone in his mouth.
I love it. I love it. You've got your branding.
Yeah, it was created by a tattoo artist from New Orleans, a good friend of mine named Tori Fleury. He does all my art. He's amazing.
That's wonderful. Well, good. Thank you for joining me today on the Voiceover Gurus podcast. Always love to hear the experiences, and thanks for sharing everything as well for our listeners. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Everybody have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Wonderful.
Thanks for listening to the Voiceover Gurus podcast. Real talk about the voiceover industry. Learn more about us and get coaching at voiceover.guru.